A warm welcome to our viewers here in Nigeria and around the world. I am Amarachi Ubani, and you're watching The World Today. Coming up within the hour. 4 U.S. college instructors in hospital after being stabbed at a public park in China. Rescue teams in Malawi find wreckage of plane carrying Vice President Solos Chilima, but no survivors. South Korea fires warning shots after North Korean troops accidentally crossed the border. The World Today starts now. And we begin in China, where 4 U.S. university tutors have been hospitalized after being stabbed by an unknown assailant at a public park. The Iowa Cornell College instructors were injured during a daytime visit to the park in the northern province of Jilin. Iowa Representative Adam Zabner confirms his brother, David, was one of the 4 instructors injured in the incident. The group had been visiting a local temple on Monday when the attacker struck. Chinese authorities have not yet responded to the incident, but images of the aftermath were quickly shared on social media, which was soon curbed by Chinese authorities. Beijing and Washington have been trying to re-establish people-to-people exchanges amid tense diplomatic relations, with Chinese President Xi Jinping unveiling a plan to invite 50,000 young Americans to China in the next 5 years. But Chinese diplomats complain that a U.S. travel advisory has discouraged Americans from going to China. Well, back in the United States, the Army Corps of Engineers has designated the Francis Scott Key Bridge safe for transit following a tragic bridge collapse in Baltimore on March 26 this year. The Port of Baltimore shipping channel has also fully reopened 11 weeks after the incident. Officials say the shipping channel has been restored to its original operational dimensions following the disaster. The reopening comes after a massive cleanup effort as crews removed an estimated 50,000 tons of steel and concrete from the Patapsco River. The channel was blocked by wreckage of the fallen bridge, which collapsed after a container ship lost power and crashed into one of its supporting columns, sending 6 members of a roadwork crew plunging to their deaths. All of the victims were Latino Americans working an overnight shift to fill potholes on the bridge. Let's bring in Channel Television's correspondent in Washington, Maria Bird. Maria, great to see you. How are people reacting to the reopening of the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore?
Well, most people obviously are very excited for this. This has been a very tumultuous time. They are hopeful that the reopening of the bridge will obviously bring people back to work, which has been a huge challenge for many of those that work right there at the port. Obviously, there's been a major backup across the United States, especially along the eastern seaboard for things making it into the United States. And so Baltimore is one of the largest ports on the eastern seaboard. So reopening that port is allowing for goods to be transported in and out that obviously have been on backlog. So this is a time of great hope that we can move through this, but obviously there's still great concern around the stability of the bridge and obviously as well making sure that what has been reconstructed, if there's any additional construction that needs to be done to ensure the sustenance of the bridge.
Yeah, I understand, the concerns about the bridge, and the government did make a number of promises at the time of the disaster. Have any of them been redeemed?
So the government did make some promises at the time of the bridge. Some of those have been, especially as it relates to those who were receiving assistance, those companies who were obviously having to be out of work, obviously financial implications as a result of that. So some of those have been, but I think there's still more work to be done. And then governors continue to follow up on those. And obviously the federal aid that was provided as well.
There have been calls for attention to be paid to infrastructure across the United States, roads, bridges, everything. Has there been any progress regarding this?
Yes, well, the president has the infrastructure bill that has been put forth. He has been working through that. And so there's been major progress, obviously, to address the failing infrastructure across the United States. It has also been very clear that they don't believe this is due to a failure in infrastructure. They believe that where the boat actually hit the bridge is what caused the tragedy there. but the actual call and the insurance that obviously roads, bridges across the U.S. that have been deemed to be failing, there have been special efforts done. And so we're just a good way through the planning process. I think the implementation that you'll see are still yet to come, but there have been major investments made. The real question is going to be once we get to the new administration, because we obviously are in a presidential election season, how fast are they going to be able to move through that if we do change administration? So I think that's where the challenge comes to some of the implementation, even though the funding has been secured and much of the planning has already begun.
Let's switch gears to talk about the stabbing in China. Now, the victims are U.S. citizens. What has been the U.S. response to this?
Well, the U.S. obviously is asking China for information on this. We all know that Iowa's Cornell College were one of the instructors, and obviously these instructors, the suspects have obviously been held according to what Chinese government is saying, that they are in custody. So the U.S. is demanding for additional information on that. It's obviously very concerning. There have always been a long relationship between U.S. academias and the Chinese universities. And so I think this is causing some great concern. And also for the students. We're in a very busy time of year when many students are traveling abroad to study. So this brings great concern to those in the academic field.
What more do we know about the perpetrators? You're saying perpetrators, but I'm just wondering, how multiple stabbings like that could have been done by a number of people. What more do we know about these perpetrators?
So there's no indication of the actual motive. We know that there was also someone that was stabbed that was a member of the Chinese community. So it was not just the Americans that were stabbed. So there has been no clear motive as of yet. But the U.S. is obviously sending forth efforts and pushing forth to identify and to ask the Chinese government if there is any additional motives, because it does bring great concern to those Americans as we think about traveling overseas and specifically to China.
If I'm hearing you correctly, Maria, this is being treated as an isolated event because there have not been any other incidents where Americans have been targeted in China, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is definitely being seen at this time of an isolated event. As you stated, there have not been other Americans that have had this type of incidents in recent months, in recent years, to be very honest, and also due to the fact that there was someone of the Chinese community that also was targeted. So this could have been just a very unfortunate incident that obviously has now impacted the entire community here in the United States.
Thanks again, Maria.
Thank you.
The search continues for 150 people who are still missing after their boat capsized off the coast of Yemen. According to the International Organization for Migration and local officials, at least 39 people from the Horn of Africa have died. Survivors told rescuers that the vessel carrying 260 migrants sank on Monday in strong winds. The IOM says it was providing aid to 71 survivors. Local authorities in Rudum, east of Aden, said that those on board were migrants, mostly from Ethiopia, who used Yemen as a transit point to reach Gulf states. Malawi's President Lazarus Chakwera says the plane carrying Vice President Solus Chilima and 9 others has been found, but with no survivors. On Monday, the military aircraft went missing, disappearing from airport radars. The plane was said to have been flying in bad weather. Soldiers had been searching Chikangawa forest overnight and into the morning in an effort to find the plane. In a news briefing earlier today, President Chakwera said the Malawi Defense Force commander informed him that the search and rescue operation has been completed and the plane was found. Meanwhile, the Democratic Republic of Congo, the death toll in an attack in the eastern region on Friday by militants and Islamist rebels has risen to at least 41. The government announced this figure on Monday. Red Cross volunteers and young people from the village of Masala in the eastern North Kivu province have been searching for bodies since the incident. Locals said armed men using guns and machetes attacked residents of the villages of Masala, Keme and Mahini. The North Kivu region has been plagued by violence from M23 rebels in recent months, but the army says the Allied Democratic Forces were behind the latest attacks. The group has been present in the DRC for 3 decades and regularly carry out assaults in the provinces of North Kivu and Ituri against the Congolese army and villagers. Well, in Asia, South Korean soldiers have fired warning shots after troops from North Korea crossed the border by mistake. The incident, which occurred at the demilitarized zone, comes as tensions continue to rise between the two countries. According to Seoul's military, a small group of North Korean soldiers entered South Korea at 12:30 local time on Sunday. They retreated immediately after the South Koreans fired the warning shots. The military added there were no notable movements from the north in the demilitarized zone after its troops retreated. In recent weeks, the North has flown hundreds of rubbish-filled balloons to border towns in the south. Seoul has responded by broadcasting propaganda and K-pop music to the north using loudspeakers. Bird flu outbreak in Australia has caused supermarket chains Coles to impose a 2-carton limit on egg sales. Shoppers have reacted to the news, some horrified that their needs are not being met, while others understand but say the situation remains scary. The move comes as the avian influenza hit a poultry farm in Victoria on May 22nd before quickly infecting others. The farms were put in quarantine and more than 500,000 chickens were euthanized to limit the spread. The highly pathogenic strain has caused disruption to egg sales, but farmers claim there is no indication of a nationwide shortage. Agriculture Victoria ensured that its poultry products were safe to consume.
There was the coronavirus and everything, and it didn't really stop me from doing what I wanted to do, and I really like eating eggs, so I don't think it would stop me from buying any eggs anytime. Yeah. I don't know if it's good or bad because, right now, like, we don't know what's going to happen, but I don't think restrictions like this is very helpful. I think people just let people do what they want to do, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm planning on getting some eggs tonight because I was actually going to make shakshuka. It's like, I don't know, it's pretty scary. I didn't even heard about that. But yeah, it's crazy to think about. Wishing the birds the best. I think it's horrendous, to be honest. I love eggs, and I'm like a carton of eggs person per day. So when I go into the supermarket, I'm normally getting about 10 eggs per purchase. And I don't know, I feel like it's the government just trying to restrict us and come down on us.
Meanwhile, birds, dogs, cats and snakes are just among some of the animals. The 1,000 of them killed in a fire in Bangkok's famous open-air Chatuchak market earlier today. The blaze was said to have been caused by an electric short circuit. The incident prompted calls for authorities to shut the pet zone, which has long been criticized for the animals' poor living conditions and has reportedly led to high rates of disease and death. The market is said to be one of Southeast Asia's biggest. Authorities say no human casualties or injuries have been reported. Nigerian representatives to the 2024 Hajj have commended the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for providing efficient services for pilgrims. A commissioner of the National Hajj Commission disclosed this to newsmen after a symposium organized by the Ministry of Hajj and Umrah in Mecca. Our correspondent Sadiq Ilyasu is in Saudi Arabia.
The Ministry of Hajj and Umrah is organizing a symposium and representatives of different nationalities are present. The discussion centers around the 2024 Hajj operation and its guidelines.
I think the operation the top gear. They've done so well because we visited Mana and Arafah yesterday, and I don't know if, I think we were there together at the press. So the job done there is very impressive, and they've done a lot. And the area of space, they've prepared, they've set all their beds, and almost everything has been done. So the preparation is good, and I think we are going to benefit from it.
The Deputy President General of the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, who is representing the Sultan of Sokoto, is optimistic about this year's preparations by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
I mean, it grants them a lot of relief. I mean, instead of staying inside the bus for as long as 7-8 hours, within 2 hours you are there. We too now, we are guests of the kingdom, and we are built to travel to Medina very soon, and we are going by train. And then we are traveling even business class there. So it's there. You can do it. So it's nice.
A distress number is given out to pilgrims to reach out for help when the need arises.
The journey of the pilgrims very comfortable and pleased. So in this year we have initiative like it's called the Nusuk card. The Nusuk card has a barcode to have the personal information and the health information for all the pilgrims. So also it has the e-wallet. So this is one of the main initiatives that we have this year. Everything, we have a number that you can call, every pilgrims can call. It's 9166 for any help. It will be everywhere. Our employee and volunteers everywhere in the Masha'ir and in Mecca. It will help all. It's our pleasure. It's our honor to help all the pilgrims.
Over 50,000 Nigerians have arrived Saudi Arabia for the 2024 Hajj. And with the preparations on ground, the Hajj is expected to go smoothly for Nigerians.
The Minister of Information, along with other top Saudi officials, toured the media hub, where representatives of various ministries are stationed to receive information that would assist any pilgrim in need. The robot, equipped with AI technology, interacts with humans for any vital information. Meanwhile, the Saudi Arabia Hajj Special Forces put up a colorful display at the parade ground in Mecca in preparation for this year's Hajj. Sadiq Ilyasu, Channels Television News.
Thanks a lot, Sadiq. We're moving on to India now, where we're asking the question, what is facial typing and what's all the hype about it in India? It's just simply typing with your face, or in this instance, your nose, instead of using your fingers, which is the usual way to type. And it's all the rave in India because Delhi resident Vinod Kumar Chaudhary is attempting to break his own record of typing the alphabet with his nose in the fastest possible time. And one Sunday, he was seen practicing the unusual method of typing on a computer keyboard. This will not be Chaudhary's first attempt at a Guinness World Record. He currently holds other records in nose typing, such as the fastest time to type the alphabet backwards, single hand, with 5.36 seconds, and the fastest time to type the alphabet with hands behind the back with 6.78 seconds, according to the Guinness World Records website. He first claimed the title in 2023 with a time of 27.80 seconds and eventually getting his time down to 26.73 seconds later that year. This is the third attempt in achieving the world record. Well, good luck, Chaudhry. And if you're in New York, I beg your pardon, in Hong Kong, you may have seen it. Characters from the popular Japanese manga and anime series Doraemon, beg your pardon, which appeared in the skies over Hong Kong just a couple of weeks back. A show served as a prelude to the upcoming 100% Doraemon and Friends tour, which will run until early August. Thousands of fans gathered at the Avenue of Stars in Sim Shai Sui to watch the 15-minute performance, which features a variety of characters and gadgets, accompanied by local voice actors who take part in the show. A fleet of 1,000 drones was used to create a 3D Doraemon, which featuring characters such as Nobita Nobi, Takeshi Goda, Sunio Hanekawa, and Shizuka Minamoto. According to media reports, Doraemon fans can look forward to two expansive exhibitions from July 13 to August 4. One will feature an inflatable giant Doraemon, while the other will immerse visitors in a world of interactive installations, original artworks, sculptures, and a short film. All looks really exciting. Thanks for watching The World Today. I'm Amarachi Ubani.